For being part of our Wednesday program. Great to have you with us. Please, if you do get a moment, just subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it does help me quite a lot. After all, this is coming to you largely free, and I'm very happy to do it as well. Now, today we are going to be focusing on looking behind some of the headlines and exactly what is meant by some of the stories. This story took up a lot of attention in social media. This from The Nation, Thailand. Here we go. The Bangkok Tuk Tuk driver in serious trouble after clip of him screaming "you" at passengers goes viral. The caption with the clip posted on Instagram by Singapore Incidents says the couple had taken the tuk-tuk from Central World Shopping Centre to BTS Chong Nonsi station at an agreed fee of 150 baht. Now, just from my knowledge, you could do that by getting onto the BTS, going to Siam Station and then to Chong Nonsi for probably about 40 baht. But anyway, they chose to take the more direct route with the tuk-tuk driver. Fair enough. When they approached the destination, the passenger said they wanted to get off near Charon Rat Road. The driver said the fare had been raised to 200 baht as the new destination was farther. Well, yes, it is. The couple then refused to continue, demanding that they be let off the tuk-tuk immediately and pay the driver only 100 baht as they had not reached the destination. Well, that's basically the crux of the story. But the boogeyman in all this, as far as the media is concerned, is the Thai tuk-tuk driver. So we go to the next page, and it says, after about an hour of interrogation, police slapped the driver with 4 charges, namely driving without a driver's license, operating a public vehicle without a license, not wearing the uniform of a public vehicle driver. What tuk-tuk driver has ever worn the uniform of a public vehicle driver, and failing to clearly display a copy of the vehicle registration papers? Okay, so he's obviously in the wrong as far as he's not registered to drive a tuk-tuk or ferry people around. So quite an interesting and layered story. Let's see the way it's played out on social media. Here you can actually see some of the clip of the man, and the Singapore Incidents Instagram page has been full of comments. A lot of people picking up the fact that, in fact, the Singapore couple were in the wrong, even though this driver, registered or not, is clearly going a bit over the top with his reaction, saying the F word some 4 or 5 times in the clip. What I would have thought is part of the Thai lexicon. But it certainly becomes something that Thais will use when they're put into a position where they feel like they've been threatened. To this particular comment, and I think this person sort of got it wrapped up, if you'd agreed to pay 150 baht from Central World to Chong Nonsi station, it was actually quite reasonable for him to ask another 50 baht if you wanted to go to Charon Rat, another 4 kilometres away. And the person saying there, I'm making these comments based on details I read from the newspapers. And that's really the crux of it. People can only react to not only what they've seen, but what they've read. The way that story's been covered, it certainly painted the tuk-tuk driver and his behaviour in a bad way. And that's fair enough. But it looks like these Singapore tourists may have actually been in the wrong by not perhaps understanding how far they were going. Let's call it a misunderstanding. You're watching the Tim Newton Today program. It's Wednesday. Really appreciate you dropping in to see what's happening around the country. Somebody wrote in yesterday saying that the way I was sitting with the things behind me, it looked like I had something white growing out of my ear. So it doesn't look like I've got that particular problem anymore. I shuffled things around a bit. Let's move on to the next story. And police crack down on a gang selling fake health products online. Now, I only bring this up because this comes up quite often. A lot of people now selling particularly things like health products, things that you might use in the home, consumables, often online these days, and you don't really know where a lot of the products are coming from. So let's see the details of this story. The Consumer Protection Police Division, heading to the second paragraph, said the scammers advertised their health products by making false claims about their quality and effectiveness. They also illegally used the images of celebrities, doctors, and medical facilities to promote their products. So, caveat emptor, buyer beware. You really do need to be careful, particularly if you're talking about products you're putting onto your skin or ingesting. You need to be particularly careful. I also note, as I've mentioned before, that I've walked past some various exhibitions promoting some of these new cannabis products and how they've infused creams and drinks and supplements and pills with cannabis, which apparently gives them all sorts of magic qualities. A lot of these are untested in those products, and they were even saying they can cure things like baldness and cancer. Now, these claims need to be substantiated because some people in good faith may even buy these products in the hope that it could help them grow some hair or cure cancer. So this is why we do need to be very careful when we're buying anything online, particularly stuff that we're rubbing on our skin or taking inside our body. To the next story. An empty hotel on Koh Samui ransacked, 70 million baht in valuables stolen. Story from Thai PBS World. And police have seized several hand tools, including oxyacetylene torches, cordless drills and hammers from a house on the resort island. After questioning 3 suspects, 2 men and a woman, police searched a construction workers camp in Boput sub-district and found metal sheets, roofing structures and teak wood window frames thought to have been stolen from the hotel. Now, the next paragraph says that the owner built the property for about 400 million baht, and after the contract expired in 2020, she did not extend the contract, but the hotel was closed due to COVID-19, and now trying to reopen the hotel. They have found all these things missing. Basically, the place has been ransacked, and they've stolen a value of around 70 million baht worth of materials. So I'd say that's going to cost a lot more than 70 million baht to refit. So I'm not sure who's going to pay for that, because if it was people from a workers' camp, they're not going to have that particular money in their pocket. So it's probably going to be an insurance job. Are the insurance company going to pay up? That's going to be a big problem for the owner. Let's go to a story from yesterday, and our story about the caretaker Prime Minister having a little bit of a rest in Krabi. There he is. And it seems he's a bit of a serial offender. Coconuts have found some other photos of him having a little bit of a rest. The Prime Minister wondering what's going on there. Oh, there he is again, having a little bit of a snooze. And, again, he's caught out having just a little bit of a rest. Now, interestingly, yesterday, some of his supporters said, well, no, it was actually the timing of the camera. The camera shutter caught him exactly when he was blinking. And so they caught him and it looked like he was sleeping. I don't know. Just having a quick look here, it looks to me very much like he's having just a good old snooze. Yes, definitely, while he's there in Krabi. This is the TNT program, and thanks to our sponsor, 5 Star Marine, and you can get in a boat like this and head out to an island like this and take a private tour on one of those magnificent vessels. 5starmarinephuket.com. That's how you get in contact with them if you're looking to go on a private tour when you're next here on the island of Phuket. To our next story now, and interesting bit of a cultural story here. From K-pop to K-dramas, K-movies, webtoons and more, Twitter is where the K-content conversations are happening. K-content is now global, with countries in Europe, North America and even Peru being among the top 20 countries tweeting the most about K-content so far this year. What is K-content? Well, it's all the dramas and music and anime and cartoons and stuff out of South Korea. It's become huge, and perhaps propelled by 2 or 3 particular K-pop bands over the past 10 years, and of course winning an Oscar with one of their films a couple of years ago, and the popularity of the Netflix show The Squid Game or Squid Games. K-dramas, South Korean dramas and anime and music is really big. Where is it the biggest? I found this quite interesting. So we go to this chart from Twitter, 2022 countries tweeting the most about K content. Number 1, South Korea. Well, of course. Second is Thailand. The third is the US. Then we've got Philippines, Indonesia, India, Malaysia. Then you've got Brazil, so it's not all Asia. Japan, the UK at number 10. Then we've got Mexico, Canada, France. So there you go. South Korean content is the big thing at the moment. Do you watch any Korean dramas? Seen any Korean films? I'm not talking about North Korea here, it's just South Korea. But it looks like Thailand is certainly leading the way when it comes to countries other than South Korea consuming a lot of South Korean content. To our next story, and Thai PBS World says luxury cars worth tens of millions of baht seized from Ponzi scheme boss in Chiang Mai. What's all this about? Well, the Technology Crime Suppression Division police in Thailand have seized luxury sports cars, Harley-Davidson motorcycles, and brand name products from the house of an executive of an illegal cryptocurrency trading firm in Chiang Mai. Let's see how this worked. They claimed the company had offered more than 30 investment projects from which they could choose, all of which promised attractive returns. Of course, one project promised a return of 80,000 baht payable at 8,000 baht for the first month and 13,000, 15,000, 20,000 and 24,000 for the next 4 months for an initial investment of 50,000 baht. Yeah, I want some of that. Now, there's a lot of these schemes going around and a lot of them attached to cryptocurrency. Not that it's cryptocurrency's fault, but people jumping on the hot topic at the moment and they're seeing that they can scam people out of their money. And so there's always going to be these schemes. But social media makes it so easy to spread the word on these. And they can glitz them up with fancy-looking graphs with arrows pointing up and people get sucked into it. Sadly, Thai people are really sucked into a lot of these schemes, so please beware if anybody approaches you with any of these schemes, and make sure you do a lot of due diligence before you invest your hard-earned money. Okay, so to the next topic, and Thai PBS World says man arrested after he allegedly shot 3 students to death in Krabi. The first paragraph, 3 high school students were shot dead in Krabi last night after the motorcycle on which they were travelling was involved in a collision with a private car. Down to the 4th paragraph, and their motorcycle collided, their motorbike, using the word motorbike and motorcycle, they are 2 quite different things here in Thailand, collided with a black sedan. Now, that can't be corroborated at this stage. That would only be from the talk or the discussion of the person who's been arrested over this incident and his comments to police. So did the car run into the bike or did the bike run into the car? Nobody actually knows. They were all thrown from the bike by the impact, which also caused the bike to catch fire. In other stories, it's suggested that the person driving the car actually ignited the bike himself. Then a man got out of the sedan, fired 2 shots from a shotgun into the 3 students before speeding away in the direction of his home. The Bangkok Post says the 3 students murdered after a road accident. 3 students were shot dead and their motorcycle set on fire after a crash involving a BMW in Krabi province in the early hours of Tuesday. Police and rescue workers were rushed to the scene. They found 3 teenage students, a boy and a girl, lying dead on the roadside grass with gunshot wounds. A burned motorcycle was on the road. All 3 were 18 years old. The boy was shot in the face and the 2 schoolgirls were shot in the back. Some further coverage from the Bangkok Post. He allegedly admitted he took 2 methamphetamine pills on Monday night and drove the car from his wife's house back to his shop house alone. On the way, his car was involved in an accident with a motorcycle. He got out of the car and used a shotgun to fire shots at the 3 people on the bike. He said he did not know them. He denied he set fire to the motorbike, which he said caught fire in the crash. Okay, so the problem we have with a lot of these stories as they come to light, and a lot of this information is gleaned from the emergency services that attend these incidents, and then the Thai media get quotes and stories from them and the police in some cases, although the police usually won't say much until they've actually prepared a proper report and at least questioned anybody they can to find out more information. But of course, then that information is published in the Thai media and then translated into English before we actually get to see it. So interesting that Thai PBS World, for example, say man arrested after he allegedly shot 3 students to death in Krabi, whilst the Bangkok Post says 3 students murdered after the road accident. Horrific story any way that you want to look at it, and very, very sad for those 3 students, their friends and their family. Wednesday on TNT. Thank you very much for joining us. Only 2 more sleeps before we get to our Saturday morning program. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Thai time. It's just you and me and a cuppa. And we'll have a bit of a chat for an hour. It was great fun last week, so hopefully we can do it again this week. To some regional news, and the Straits Times covering quite a lot of news. Britain's new PM, Liz Truss, vows to ride out the storm. I think the word poison chalice should be used somewhere in the first couple of paragraphs. She's got a difficult job ahead. US military announces plan to test ICBM. That's an intercontinental ballistic missile. We'll check out that story in a moment. President Xi of China to visit Central Asian nations in run-up to key party meeting. Bit of a public relations exercise. The main story here, vital for Singapore, Malaysia to strengthen cooperation in the face of global headwinds, says Lawrence Wong. Who is Lawrence Wong? There he is, sitting there with the Malaysian king, one of the sultans. Well, Lawrence Wong is I suppose you could call him the Prime Minister-elect. He's sort of been nominated or been anointed by the current President Lee, and it looks like Lawrence Wong at some stage will become the new Prime Minister in Singapore. And in just the same way that we describe Thailand's democracy as a quasi-democracy, you could say much the same in Singapore, where their version of democracy is quite different from the way that people are elected to office in a lot of other countries. And just some other headlines there. Marcos gets grand welcome from Filipinos in Singapore. This will be very disappointing for some of you. Justin Bieber scrapping world tour over health issues. Oh, well, I hope he's going to be better, whatever's wrong with him. Death toll rises in Sichuan quake. Tens of thousands evacuated. We'll check some details on that in a moment. And Najib files review of federal court's decision to uphold a graft conviction. That's the former Prime Minister of Malaysia, who's now spending 12 years in jail over corruption charges relating to the 1MDB scam. All right, about that earthquake in Sichuan province, thousands of rescuers are continuing search and recovery efforts in the southwestern province after a 6.8 magnitude earthquake rocked the mountainous region on Monday, killing 66. More than 250 people have been injured, a third of them seriously, while 15 are reported to be missing. So a major earthquake following on from a lot of floods and really heavy rains that are causing a lot of problems in some of the South Chinese provinces. And that story about the ICBM being launched by the United States, a spokesperson for the Pentagon says that the aim of the test is to demonstrate the readiness of US nuclear forces and provide confidence in the security and effectiveness of the nation's nuclear deterrent. So a bit of saber rattling there by the United States, just showing off some of their weapons in what's been described as a plan to test an ICBM. And with that, we say thank you. I think that's all the news we've got today. Yes, it is. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us on TNT. And thank you to our sponsor, 5starmarine.com. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.